Opposition websites are saying that at least 8 prominent figures in Iran have now been detained after deadly protests. The violence on Sunday between anti-government demonstrators and security forces left at least 8 people dead in Tehran, including the nephew of opposition leader Mir Hossein Mousavi. Iran says that his body is being held for an autopsy. Hundreds have been arrested, and there's word now that the sister of the Nobel Peace Prize winner Shirin Ebadi is among those in custody. Reza Sai has been following all the developments in Iran, and he brings us this perspective.
Over the past few months, Iran's hardline leadership has gone after and detained dozens of individuals they deem to be members of the current opposition movement. On Monday night, word of another high-profile arrest, this time Iranian officials going after the sister of Shirin Ebadi. Shirin Ebadi, of course, the world-renowned Iranian human rights lawyer and winner of the 2003 Nobel Peace Prize. CNN spoke with Mrs. Ebadi on Monday night. Obviously, she's very concerned about her sister. She says her sister, Nushin Ebadi, was inside her apartment when around 9 p.m. local time on Monday. She was visited by 4 individuals from the Ministry of Information. These individuals, according to Mrs. Ebadi, provided a letter from the prosecutor's office and eventually detained her and also confiscated her computer. Mrs. Shirin Ebadi telling CNN that she believes Iranian officials are trying to intimidate her by detaining her sister. Also on Monday, the fallout from an extraordinary weekend in the streets of Tehran, a weekend that saw major protests, some of the most intense clashes we've seen since the disputed election on June 12th. Sunday turned out to be one of the deadliest days since that disputed election. Among the 8 people dead, according to Iranian state news agency Ali Mousavi, the nephew of opposition leader and former presidential candidate Mir Hossein Mousavi, who was killed on Sunday during the protest. Some opposition websites are saying that Ali Mousavi's body is missing, but Iran's state-run agency, citing police, says his body is with authorities, with investigators pending an autopsy because they deem his death to be suspicious. But look for the death of Ali Mousavi to be another flashpoint of the conflict between Iran's opposition movement and Iran's hardline leadership. Reza Sai, CNN, Atlanta.
We want to give you a little bit more context on why this is also significant. You see, you need to trace the tensions in Iran directly to the June presidential election. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad had a controversial victory that prompted tens of thousands of people out onto the streets in protest. And then in the following days, at least 20 people were killed and more than 1,000 arrested. Then at a June 20th march, there was the death of a young woman named Neda Aga Sultan, and that was captured on video. And if you'll remember, that really became a rallying point for protesters. Then police and protesters, they clashed again in July on the anniversary of the 1999 student protests and several other days after that. Then in August, there were some prominent moderates that were put on trial. They were charged with trying to overthrow the government, while Mahmoud Ahmadinejad was then sworn in for a second term just a few days later. And then in November, there was a rally marking the 30th anniversary of the taking of the U.S. embassy, and it turned violent too. Then look at December 19th. Iran's most senior dissident cleric, Grand Ayatollah Montazeri, died. That was really a major moment which provided a new spark for the new protests that we're seeing.
And now President Barack Obama is speaking out. He's calling on Iran to respect the rights of the Iranian people to demonstrate for political change.
What's taking place within Iran is not about the United States or any other country. It's about the Iranian people and their aspirations for justice and a better life for themselves. And the decision of Iran's leaders to govern through fear and tyranny will not succeed in making those aspirations go away.